as well as other events that might go on, enforcing a lot of laws of the sea out there, protecting our resources for the most part. This is the last strong biomass with all the fisheries, and we're trying to keep up here what we lost out on the Grand Banks. So they're very effective for that. We covered the Aleutian chain, the Bering Sea to the north, and the Gulf of Alaska to the southeast. 4 million square miles is kind of, to put it in perspective, if we put this over continental U.S., if I turn the map 90 degrees and Kodiak's our home base, we can call Kodiak San Diego, and the tip of the chain is the northern coast of Washington. Normally on the west coast we'd have 8 air stations to cover that area. We do it with 1. Now if you consider Bering Sea the same as the Gulf of Mexico, we've got the equivalent of the East Coast, where there's 12 air stations. And again, I've got 1. So they get stretched a bit. We go through a couple of crews that affect us, our case out here, search and rescue case, because we only have 3 fuel stops along the chain. So go 300 miles, top off the fuel again, go another 150 miles, top off the fuel, and then leap another 350 miles to the next stop. We have to have a lot of fuel to make it there because there's no place in between the stops. And then we'll go offshore to go pick up the mariner who's fallen down the ladder or whatever's happened to him. To do that, because of the time and the distances, we'll have to send the second crew on ahead in the C-130, swap out the crews in the with the H-60. The H-60 can continue on, and then go effect the rescue. And then when they get back, we'll swap the crews again. And the C-130, more often than not, is bringing the injured mariner to Anchorage for medical care. So it'll take us 18, 19 hours to effect a rescue sometimes, just because of the distances. I've been on and off this island since 1969. I went to high school here when my father was the executive officer. He came back when he sent me out to the academy to be the commander. So this is the only Coast Guard air station to have a father and son command the same unit. After I graduated from the academy, I was on a cutter out of Seattle. We spent all of our time up here doing patrols in Alaska, so I saw a lot of Kodiak again. And then went to flight school, and after my first tour of learning how to fly the plane as best I could, I came up here and I deployed off the back of the cutters, much like I send my guys out doing now. And I did that with my new bride, and we had our first son here, and we always wanted to come back, and it took me 16 years to get back. But we finally made it.
Visiting the United States Coast Guard base on Kodiak Island. Today's postcard from America's Last Frontier.
Now it's time for True Stories from the Bible in contemporary English. Today's story begins with God appearing to King Solomon in a dream. God said, "Solomon, ask for anything you want, and I will give it to you." Solomon answered, "My father David, your servant, was honest and did what you commanded. You were always loyal to him, and you gave him a son who is now king. Lord God, I'm your servant, and you've made me king in my father's place. But I'm very young and know so little about being a leader. And now I must rule your chosen people, even though there are too many of them to count. Please make me wise and teach me the difference between right and wrong. I will know how to rule your people. If you don't, there is no way I could rule this great nation of yours." God said, "Solomon, I am pleased that you asked for this. You could have asked to live a long time or to be rich.